everyone. This is Luca Majno. We're back with Frank Gregory Ford once again. This is Global News Update on TLBTV, courtesy of the Liberty Beacon Project. And this is where we give you complete, backstage, up-to-date info as to the developments occurring in our world today. And as usual, we have a mouthful. Greg is sitting there ready with his pages, and I'm sitting here ready with stuff that I have to read. Greg, how's California?
Well, this is my legal pad, so I mean business. Okay. Right. Oh, California is absolutely beautiful, crystal clear, sparkling.
Okay.
So, you know, like always, California is ready to go. And let me see. The fires are still burning in Ventura. Okay, they're about 35% contained now. And let's see what else. Let's see. The California coast is inundated with great white sharks. So. Don't come out to the coast and expect to go surfing. So, or if you do, make sure you're wearing an outfit of chain mail. That might help.
Right.
Okay. So, and let me see what else. I've got all kinds of things. So why don't you lead off, Luca?
Well, I think Snapshot is going to be answering the questions that we had, not the questions we had, but the promises that we made on the last show on what we were going to talk about. So let me share screens with you here.
Okay.
On the last show, we promised that we'd talk about the World Trade Center 9/11 illness information, about if you're eligible for victim fund compensation and all this stuff. Not to talk bad about this, but this is important because I have to mention a few things about it. And we're also going to talk about the power outage at Atlanta Airport and the thoughts behind that are becoming more and more clear with our internet that has not yet been played with. So it's in full force. And I figured, well, what do I want to talk about first? Well, I'd like to talk about 9/11 first, because 9/11 is a hot topic on our show. And there's a couple of things. Let's rewind, first of all. How did Silverstein get into the World Trade Center, into the lease and all that stuff? Well, guess what? The Zionist connection. According to Christopher Bollyn, and that's www.bollyn.com, Silverstein and Eisenberg are on the UJA board. The word Jewish is in there, of course. Silverstein is chairman, and Eisenberg is on the planning board. Silverstein got the Twin Towers lease through fellow Zionist agent Lou Eisenberg, chairman of the Port Authority. There's your answer, okay? Alvin Hellerstein, and we have to go back and forth here. We have to kind of plow around a little bit. He's the federal judge who handled the 9/11 tort litigation. His son Joseph is lawyer in Israel with the firm that represents ICTS, key defendant in 9/11 litigation. There's some, pretty heavy stuff going on. Scratching your head. I can see you, Greg. Michael Mukasey and Hellerstein both belong to the same Zionist congregation. Mukasey presided over the 1993 World Trade Center bombing case and Silverstein's battle with the insurance companies.
Mm-hmm.
There's your cue. Look at this.
Yeah. Now, can I interject something right there?
Uh-oh. Okay.
Mr. Mukasey.
Yes.
All right. What they're not telling anybody is Mr. Mukasey attends the same Jewish temple, all right, as Mr. Silverstein. And somehow, some way, Mr. Mukasey ended up receiving the insurance case in front of him. Now, there used to be something called conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Isn't that what we have here?
Right.
Okay. And then to boot, Mr. Mukasey made sure that Mr. Silverstein got twice the settlement that he was asking for. Right. And then on top of that, somehow there's an agreement with the U.S. government and an Israeli firm to rebuild a memorial site paid for, of course, by who?
Israel.
Right. You've got it. They actually got the job. They didn't pay for it. You know these folks in Israel. Mm-hmm. No, they didn't pay for it. They just got the contract. And now, what was it? 2 nights ago, we got to see who's heading up the firm that is offering restitution for the victims.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Give me a chance.
Okay.
This gets really good here because the Israel son of the Mossad controls the 9/11 investigation. Okay, this is a very quick fly through. Kenneth Feinberg. You know, look up these names, write them down. Sheila Birnbaum. Okay, who's Kenneth Feinberg? Well, Special Master 9/11 Compensation Fund. His wife is the executive of the United. Oh, there's that word again. United Israel Appeal and the Jewish Federation of Washington, and on the board of governors of Jewish Agency. Sheila Birnbaum, special mediator, arranged out-of-court settlements for 96 families who refused compensation from Feinberg. They just throw them from one to the other. You know, if they say no to one, you know, the woman will take care of it, right? Birnbaum is a partner at Skadden Arps, law firm with very close ties to Israel. Speaking of that, Benjamin Netanyahu admits publicly that 9/11 will do wonders for Israel or will benefit Israel. They get the myth specialist.
There's my man.
Philip Zelikow, who completes, read this carefully with me, completes outline of 9/11 commission report before staff begins working. Okay? Executive order of the 9/11 commission, Zelikow framed the agenda, led the research staff, and decided what evidence the commission saw. And the 9/11 commission is good in all libraries in the Department of Science Fiction and Fantasy. Or it could belong here because you know what? Most rich folks, they're using toilet paper that looks something like that.
You got it.
This is my point. So this is what the truth of 9/11 looks like.
Now, and remember, Mr. Zelikow, okay, he got appointed after there was such a stink made about Henry Kissinger being appointed to head the commission. Oh gosh, gee, okay, does that mean anything to anybody listening to this show and keeping track of this incredible exploitation of America?
It gets better, Greg. It gets better. And before I finish, I have to say this. This is what we showed last time, okay? We'll know our disinformation program is complete when everything the American public believes is false. We know that William Casey was a monster. Greg, you even said it yourself last time. It's the bottom part of this meme that we have to look at, okay? And I'll give it to you right here. Let the above words sink in. Let them flow through your stubbornness and false reality. Everything your government tells you is a lie, and there's a very clear reason for that. Telling you the truth does not serve their interests. The truth is the enemy is the enemy. The truth is the enemy of government, and the truth is what will defeat them. Okay, Greg, do you want me to go on to the Atlanta airport really quick? Because this could be a.
Yeah, you better. This is very important.
And the stuff we're finding out is very important, and I have to read it. Basically, a cargo plane operated by an Israeli airline with full customs clearance was the only plane to leave Atlanta during that massive blackout. Okay, according to Rachel Blevins, the world's busiest airport in Atlanta experienced an unprecedented power outage that seemed to defy all the precautions put in place to prevent it. And it took 11 hours, 11-hour ordeal. Internet users noticed that only one mysterious plane was allowed to leave the airport. Over 1,000 flights were canceled when the Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport lost power around 1 p.m. on Sunday, causing a chaotic situation as thousands of travelers were affected. And it left many people wondering why the generators and the backup systems available to prevent such an emergency were not utilized. According to air traffic website Flight Radar 24, there was at least one flight that landed at the airport right before the power went out and left in the middle of the ordeal. Boeing 747 with tail number 4XICB is a cargo plane that landed in Atlanta from Mexico City at 1 p.m. on Sunday. The plane's next destination was Liège in Belgium, where it could go off and be played off as some cargo plane. The plane is operated by CAL Cargo Airlines, a Jewish airline, headquartered in Tel Aviv, Israel. There it is again. This is all we're seeing all the time. The fleet consists of just 3 Boeing 747s, and it claims to transport a variety of cargo, including, and you're going to love this, Greg, quote, controlled pharmaceutical and healthcare products, live animals, dangerous goods, oversized and overweight cargo, unquote. Not only does CAL Cargo Airlines have direct ties to the Israeli government, but there's also a questionable amount of power surrounding one of the airline's businesses. That's LACHS, Liège Airport Cargo Handling Services.
Right.
A cargo terminal in Belgium is fully owned and operated by CAL Cargo Airlines. Greg, you probably know all this stuff. Just don't mind me. I'm almost done. After 4X ICB departed from Atlanta on Sunday, its record shows it made a stop in its hub at Liège, and then went to Tel Aviv on Monday after a stop in Larnaca in Cyprus.
Right.
Okay, so to sum up so far, this is all we know. An unprecedented power outage occurs at the busiest airport in the world, despite the airport having backup generators for this occasion, and mysteriously somehow went out at the same time. Minutes before the blackout, a cargo plane from Mexico City arrives at the airport. Due to special customs arrangements, probably beforehand, obviously, it's not boarded by security customs or security or customs officials. Then approximately 5 hours later, despite all flight having been ordered grounded by both the city's mayor and the FAA, the flight leaves for its next destination.
I wonder where that was.
And we have to go all the way back to 1992, when the crash of Flight El Al Flight 1862 caused quite a stir when it was revealed that it was secretly carrying the ingredients for sarin nerve gas. So by far the most popular suggestion is that this blackout was part of an operation to discreetly move some W-80 variable yield nuclear warheads out of this country and into the hands of the Israelis. The power outage being a necessary part of the ruse to blind nuclear detection devices that are standard at all major airports. Thank you for letting me read that, Greg. That was really important, and this is what we're finding out less than, 48 hours afterwards? It's ridiculous.
Now, I'd be willing to bet, first of all, that's Larnaca, of course, Cyprus, and you folks have heard me go on about Cyprus and the Green Zone. Okay.
The Cyprus Express.
And also Nicosia of course, on Cyprus. All right. That's where our mysterious flights from Iraq and also Israel tend to either terminate or begin at. All right. So, and gee, you said that Israel had the elements of sarin nerve gas. Oh my goodness. Now, where would they get that? Any ideas, Mr. Bush?
Probably
Any
ask,
ideas, Mr.
probably ask a
Carlisle?
6-year-old. A 6-year-old will probably know.
Any ideas, Mr. David Bernstein? Okay. I think they have an idea of the Carlisle group. Oh, yeah. Hey, probably the same place where they got the last set of weapons of mass destruction that were I found in Iraq. All right. So, gee, funny thing. This stuff has been going on for a long time, okay?
And Greg, what's it called again?
Manufactured terrorism?
Don't you love it? They just manufacture it. Actually, it's called problem, reaction, solution, too, because they create the problem, and everybody clamors for a solution. So they have the solution already ready. They give you the solution, and then it's like, hey, sorry.
Well, I'm going to ask our viewers to help out. I was just given some great information today, okay, but I didn't have time to look up what I need to find out, and you're going to love this, folks, is something like this. I need to find out who the American ambassador was to the USSR in Moscow in 1963, okay, in 1963. I need to find out who that ambassador was. And I'll tell you why at the end of the show.
Moscow, right? U.S. ambassador.
Right. U.S. ambassador to the USSR.
Okay.
Okay. And I'll tell you, boy, it's going to curl your toes, folks. Okay. But anyway, today everybody came to me with all kinds of good information. All right, folks, you might start checking where your wallet is and where your purse is. First of all, here, the IRS isn't going to say anything to you, but I will. The IRS is taking over very shortly, very quietly, your IRA, okay, individual retirement account, and your 401k. Very quiet. Now, why is that? I've always said, if you give politicians access to money, they will steal it every time. That is what has happened with our Social Security. You think we just used up our Social Security? No, folks. As soon as FDR passed away, Franklin Delano Roosevelt passed away, that was the first thing that these dirtbag politicians started doing, was gaining access to all those Social Security funds that he had been very careful to guard. He knew what these clowns are like. So guess what? They think now, and I'm sure, Mr. Trump is just the guy, okay, to explain all this to you. After your money's taken, of course, all right? Now, he'll tell you something like, everyone has to do their fair share, all right? So, no one can seem to find out if Mr. Trump has done his fair share, because no one can look at his taxes, taxes, okay? And you can bet Donald Trump doesn't have an IRA or a 401k, all right? So to make this, okay, a little quick, because I've got some great stuff here. Okay, also, Trump very quietly has announced to our allies, okay, our allies in the fight against terrorism, okay, I just love that, all right, terrorism, oh boy, terrorism, we're going to fight off some terrorists, okay, well, folks, he has very quietly let our allies know that if they don't back him up, if they do not back him up, he is going to quite simply do this. He is going to cut the money off and funding that we are paying our allies in support, okay? If they don't knock off the static that he is giving to them, that they're giving him about moving the capital of Jerusalem, oh, oi, there's Israel again, oi, they don't knock off the crap about Israel, okay? He is going to cut off all support and military support to those allies who bitch and complain about it. I knew there was something up when I heard that idiot, what's her name, Nikki Haley, okay, our ambassador to the UN, start saying, oh yeah, well, that's always been the historical capital of Israel. Oi, since when? Since when? All right, since 1948, when they invaded it with Jordan, okay, and divided it up. All right, cut it out. Not all of us are ignorance, okay? So anyway, here we got, and I also got my stomach turned today, folks. I'm sure you've had a chance to see this too. What I saw a policeman with a rifle in a hotel room, okay, shoot a man who was crawling and crying on the hallway. Yeah. And okay, that was on his video camera, okay?
We have it on video.
Yes. Okay, now, let me understand this. Okay, I was in law enforcement for quite a while, and believe me, the last thing you want to do is shoot somebody, okay? Is shoot somebody. I had to do it, and I only had to do it after I watched them try to stab somebody to death, all right? That's when I shot somebody. But the thing is, okay, here with this young man, he had the man on the ground, on the floor of the hallway, crawling on his forehand, his hands and knees,
playing with him.
And he was very clearly, the guy who shot him, this policeman, was very clearly playing to the camera. Okay, he was going to shoot this poor guy no matter what. All right, no matter what. The family's in an uproar. Everyone who sees us is in an uproar. Yeah. And of course, what happens with his militarized police station that reviewed this? Oh, they didn't find anything wrong with it. That was proper operational procedure. Exactly. Okay, this is what we have. this is one thing I wanted to talk about briefly, okay, with our listeners, is our cops are getting dumber and more militarized, okay?
Yeah.
They've been watching too many videos. They all want to go out and kill somebody, all right? They want to kill somebody. So what we have here now is militarized cops praying for the chance to shoot somebody dead, okay? Now, who's paying for all of this? You always have to go back and say, who's paying for all of this? Is this a separate operational law enforcement fund?
Right.
No, it's you people, myself, everyone listening, okay, in America, that's paying for the militarization of our police forces, because they know something's going on, it's going to come up, and now's your chance. If you want to kill somebody and get away with it and be sanctimonious and self-righteous like this little ass bite was that shot this guy, fine. That's what's happening. There it is. There is no such thing as holding our law enforcement culpable for behavior like that. They let him off, and I saw him very clearly. I saw him, and I can tell from looking at people, being in that business, the violence business, yes, he really wanted to kill somebody, okay? And I'll tell you for free, I've been grabbed by law enforcement, okay, by law enforcement, and I had the same impression that the guy who grabbed me pulled me out of my car and was screaming at me, okay? He was going to do everything to give me the most opportune chance to kill me, all right? That's not unusual, but the thing is, it comes to a stop when you have an outraged civilian population demanding a balanced justice system. We're losing that very quickly, folks. So, okay, now this thing about sexual harassment, okay, you know, most people fear to tread where I'm just treading. Okay, let me ask our listeners. Okay, yes. Now, this is mostly coming out of Hollywood, the entertainment industry, correct?
Yes.
And let's face it, okay, why does one get into entertainment? All right. It's to, basically be an actor, be a singer, show some kind of talent. Well, also there's sex appeal, okay? And who goes in to take an interview with a director at 10 o'clock at night, okay, wearing a little short skirt, all right? And what happens? Okay, it's sex appeal. The director has the power to grant you a position or a part in a movie or whatever. Guess what? Okay, that has been a part of it. I didn't say it's right, but it's to be expected because sexual appeal is part of the entertainment industry. How many unsexual people do you see in Hollywood? Not many, all right? So it's to be expected, all right? Understand that. It's to be expected.
You told us about Marilyn Monroe that one time.
Yes, of course. And let's face it, you gave me what she said, and it was pretty impressive, okay? So the next thing I have to say is I understand about sexual harassment. Nobody wants it unless you okay, establish the ground rules right off the bat. Then you won't get your job, okay? Oh well, sorry. And I've been in agencies where sexual harassment issues came up, and guess what? They said as long as they were getting what they wanted, this is the women towards the men, as long as they were getting what they wanted, they didn't see a problem with actually engaging in sexual relations. But as soon as they lost what they had, then that's when they said they filed sexual harassment charges. Okay, here's the motto to this long-winded story is this: there's two sides to every story. All right. It's not something that we need to have in vogue. Okay, go harass and prosecute somebody for something that happened 15 or 20 years before. Okay, and that was in the minds of the person prosecuting. Okay, so that's what we have here. We have that situation. Okay, we have to come back to the fact that there's two sides to every story. Okay, Now, what I find interesting is Mr. Weinstein, who is quite the cad in all of this, is who does he hire to investigate mostly American, job applicants for his screen roles? Who does he hire? He hires Israeli investigation firms. What is going on with Israel, Luca? Okay. I mean, Israel comes over, they blow our buildings up, they slaughter thousands of Americans, and they obviously, have us in their sights. Okay. As I've been told, they're going to keep it up until we are virtually stripped of all the meat on our bones. Okay.
Or dead, because that's what they want. 90% of us dead. So
yeah.
Never forget shrinking the American population from 235 million, I think they said, to 67, between 67 and 69%.
In million. How many years? 13 years?
Let me say that again. Shrinking the population of America between 235 million to between 67 and 69 million people by 2030, 2032.
2030. That's right. Okay. Last night, I listened to Bob Baer. He's a rather controversial former agent of the CIA. And this is where it gets really interesting today. Okay. Now, Bob Baer actually has his hands on some of the files that were released by President Trump. Okay. Not all. He didn't get them all. Okay. Trump is hoping that everybody will forget about these JFK files. And when 2018 rolls around, very shortly, April of 2018, he hopes no one will actually ask any more, will put in FOIAs and more requests for those files. All right. So what we have here now is a very big suspicion in my mind that, yes, Oswald, as he went over last night, Lee Harvey Oswald was a trained CIA operative.
Yeah.
And the IRS taxes show that he was being paid by the FBI. Okay. At the time of his death, he was being employed in the employ of the FBI. Now, I know the FBI used to be a good agency. I mean, for a little bit of cross-dressing here and there, that's okay. That's allowed. All right. But the thing is, that was the deal with Mr. Oswald. Okay. Now, the reason I asked to find out who the ambassador was in Moscow in '63, anybody guessing? Well, it appears now that the ambassador in Moscow, U.S. ambassador to the USSR, all right, it turns out he made an arrangement to have Mr. Oswald, okay, move ostensibly to the Soviet Union, the workers' paradise. Now, they make it sound like, oh, they didn't trust him there. Okay, well, probably for good reason. Okay, the best intelligence agencies in the world are Russian, USSR. Okay, so what we have here is our ambassador paves the way for Mr. Oswald to go to two embassies. First of all, he goes to the Russian embassy and he actually does an emigre routine, and no one's quite sure what he was doing there. Well, I have it on good authority, folks, that he was there being educated and trained by the Spetsnaz. Okay? I didn't probably say it with a Slavic intonation. Spetsnaz. That means death to spies. Department 13. Okay? Department 13 means KGB assassination experts. Okay? He was there the entire time in Sebastopol, and he was being trained to be a top-notch assassin. Okay? And yes, drugs were used in his conditioning, and what they call the old pros from Dover were brought in to to absolutely teach him how to kill and turn it into a game, okay? Our agent from the CIA, which they knew was there on ground, and the path had been laid through our embassy in Moscow and that ambassador to have Oswald trained to kill the President of the United States. Gee, okay, what? Yeah, there's always a cause. There's never a coincidence here.
No.
Now, let me see. This was right after the Bay of Pigs invasion, okay? And this was also right after the Cuban Missile standoff with Russian missiles and Khrushchev. A few of us can remember back then, okay? So what we have here is obviously Mr. Oswald was a trained assassin, and he was actually used as a patsy, okay? No questions about that. And he was also taught to shoot, okay? He was taught to shoot there in the Soviet Union very well, okay? And yes, Oswald did know Jack Ruby. They were childhood friends, okay? Now, I'm not the smartest bulb in the box, okay? The brightest bulb, the sharpest knife in the drawer, as you will, okay? My biscuits, I've been accused by our government, when I accused them of industrial torture, they said all my biscuits weren't quite done, okay?
Right. Yeah.
So there we have it, folks. Okay, I want you to think about that, because that means everything that we've been told about JFK to the present has been fake terrorism. Fake terrorism, all right? Do I need to spell that out for anybody? I don't think so. Fake terrorism. That means the whole situation with Kennedy was done by us in cooperation with the Russians, of course. And if you doubt anything I'm saying, look at the session in Mexico City at the Russian embassy in Mexico City. Okay, that puts paid to this bill. Yes, the Cubans were involved. Yes, the Russians were involved. That's it. No getting around it. No mealy-mouthing it. And the CIA has been doing it ever since. They got away with it. They set the whole thing up with the help from organized crime, of course. And let's face it. Lake Pontchartrain. Where's Lake Pontchartrain? Louisiana, New Orleans. Who lived in New Orleans? Carlos Marcello, okay? Now, I actually have a source whose father worked for Carlos Marcello.
Right.
And so every day I get a new download on this information. Sorry, CIA, sorry, NSA, but hey, this is called human intelligence, all right? So.
And it's written in black and white, as we showed on that last snapshot, or one of the last snapshots, that everything that the government tells us is a lie. And I think people like us in this business, we have to wrap our heads around it, because if we can't, it'll just be a shock every time. But this is becoming really not boring, but it's amazing. There's something else every day. It can continue like this all the time.
None of this has died away. None of this has gone.
It's gotten worse.
Okay. Now, I had something very interesting given to me. Okay. Now, we're coming up on Christmas. I'm segueing away from CIA killing our president. Okay. And then lying about it, of course, nonstop. And of course, I'm going to get into something coming up about the two Canadians who started the generic pharmaceutical company. And I've got some great, exciting things about them. But I wanted to take a little time and talk about Christmas, the meaning of Christmas. Okay. I get kind of sentimental about all of this, but I was shocked today when I heard this. Does anybody know what Christmas actually means? You think anybody could call in? I know they're going to call me a real Grinch. Okay.
Or a pagan holidayist.
Well, it would be nice. That's okay. But Christmas goes something like this. That means Christ massacre. Okay. That means Christmas is referring to the execution and the crucifixion of Christ. Okay. That's where that comes from. All right. Everybody thinks it means something else. He wasn't born on the 25th.
That's what everybody thinks. It's the birth of the Messiah under the star. And
right. Well, I got a real interesting download about the three wise men. Okay. Now, I'm not quite sure where they got the wise man part, but they were three kings. Yes. Balthasar, and I ought to ask if anybody knows the names. Most people don't know the names, but Melchior, okay, and Saint Gaspar, okay, or Gaspar, he's the saint now, okay. But Balthasar is the Babylonian scholar, one of the greatest of all time. Melchior is the Persian scholar, and Gaspar is the Indian scholar, okay. Well, here's something for you can put underneath the tree, folks.
Right.
They were bringing a little baby, an infant child with them. Guess who? Isa, Yahweh, okay. Jesus, okay. All right. That's who they were bringing to Bethlehem, okay, because Joseph, okay, was a very wealthy man, and Mary, okay. Well, what we have here is a situation where they were bringing the last descendant of the house of David to the safekeeping of a very wealthy man from the Sanhedrin. I don't know if everyone's familiar with the Sanhedrin,
yeah,
but the Sanhedrin, yes, okay, and that's why they were bringing him there, okay, so he would have protection, because it appears now that Joseph had a dream that, yes, there were going to be executions of all the firstborn. And thanks to King Herod, that was going on, all right? Mm-hmm. So what we have here now is a man who is extremely wealthy, okay? They weren't poor. They didn't stay in a manger, okay? Forget it. Joseph could buy the whole place, okay, and spend the evening there, okay? Well, what it appears is the tomb now of this man, Isa, Jesus, Yahweh, okay? Whatever you want is actually in the Vale of Kashmir, all right? Everybody can get all excited. Oh, well, go check it out. The Vale of Kashmir is where his tomb is. It's not in Jerusalem. It's not in Bethlehem, anything like that. Because no one even thought about this, did the family tomb that was owned by Joseph, did the family tomb have an exit? Okay. Mm-hmm. I know everybody likes to think it was just only, one entrance to it. No, it turns out there were two entrances and one exit, okay, to the tomb. And yes, his followers did come and take him out alive out of the tomb. Okay, so this is great stuff, I know. And
more lies, right?
All upset. Everybody's going to be upset. Oh, well, sorry, go to the subcontinent of India, all right? And there was an excellent archaeological record, an expedition done, and it was confirmed for me today, all right, that yes, that Jesus actually spent the rest of his life, after he recovered from the catatonic drugs that he was given on the vinegar, okay, that yes, he did survive, and he went to the Vale of Kashmir with Mary Magdalene, and they had 7 children. 5, actually, of the 7, 5 were their own children, and 2 were children that they adopted that needed help. They were orphans. So
you know what? I thought that movie, the Da Vinci Code. I thought the Da Vinci Code was kind of stretching it, saying that Mary Magdalene had her own her own book, you know, and that you know, Mary Magdalene, you know, or that person leaning the other way with Jesus making the V and everything. You got to see.
Right.
You got to see the movie. People should
Yeah, I
see that
did.
movie because it shows, you know, that was his wife, and
Yes.
she had a baby, and they explain all that, and it's your theory blows that one right out the window.
Well, yes, and now what's interesting now is in the 19th century, the British knew this. Okay, they knew this, and they've tried to demolish the tomb in the Vale of Kashmir several times. And the last time they got fed up, and this was into the 20th century, and built a radio tower on top of it. Okay, I mean they really wanted to hide the tomb of Isa, Jesus. Okay, that yes, they wanted to very badly. And what's interesting is those bad old Muslims. Okay, and the bad old Taliban have been protecting the tomb of Jesus. Okay? I hope everybody heard that. That's what I was told, and I've had it confirmed now, because I was told that before, but I had it confirmed today. That yes, the tomb of Jesus and Mary Magdalene is in the Vale of Kashmir. Okay? So that means that we can thank the Taliban for putting paid to a fake historical atrocity that has been going on all of this time. And yes, the Taliban, they were made by America. They're an American product. Mm-hmm. See, more fake terrorism, okay? So, see, we create the problem, and then we go ahead and charge the taxpayers more money for fixing it, okay? And now here, on a closing note, I know we're running out of time. We always are. But the thing is 5 days ago, a Canadian couple, they were billionaires. They started the only generic pharmaceutical company in Canada. Well, they were found under, quote, suspicious conditions, okay? Yeah. Dead. Well, it appears that, yes, they were hanging by the necks next to each other, okay? That's pretty suspicious, all right? So what it turns out, as of today, I pulled out my little crystal ball, all right? What it turns out is, yes, who else kills at will, you know, virtually whenever the mood hits her?
Oh, Hillary does.
Clinton.
Of course.
Hillary Clinton. Okay. The week before, she murdered the lead surgeon that went to Haiti to try to do something, you know, and when he got there, the lead surgeon, Lorish, okay, he got there, it goes something like this. There was no medical help being given to all those victims of the earthquake, and he attempted to do something. He expected funds to come in from the charity. What is it? The Clinton Foundation.
Yeah.
$100 million disappeared down that rat hole. Okay. He never got anything. He immediately started writing letters to everyone. Okay. In New York, Washington, and the Clintons. Okay. Called them dirty rats, which they are. Okay. He forgot the psychopathic part.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, this devoted doctor is found with a butcher knife from his own kitchen shoved into his chest. Now, I know they said it was suicidal. Is there anybody out there stupid enough to buy that one? Okay. Hillary's killing him about once a week. Okay. There's a killing connected to her. All right. So, no, this one ain't gonna fly. Yes, she had him killed. And I found out even who the killer in this case was. Okay. Hold on your seats, folks. It was a Mossad operative, Israeli. Gosh, people forget, okay, those poor wandering Jews, okay, they were assassins. Yes, the Hassin assassin cult was Hebrew. It wasn't Persian, okay? Why do you think when the Romans surrounded Masada, they weren't going to let them go? They were tired of these Jewish assassins wiping out their bureaucrats, killing their bureaucrats, okay? In what is now Israel, okay? They were fed up with it. They stormed They stormed Masada. It took a while. They built a ramp. They broke the walls down, and they killed every assassin that they could get their hands on. You know, they wouldn't give up until they did it. What creates that kind of anger? Okay, nothing like assassinating your leaders, your friends, your loved ones. Okay, well, that's one thing the Mossad is doing, will be doing, because I want you to understand this and listen very carefully. Yes, that doctor was killed. The man who saved Bono from U2, all right, yes, he was killed, stabbed in the chest, okay, in the chest. Mm-hmm. And the two Canadians, they were hung, probably strangled first and then hung, all right. Well, both of them are connected directly to Hillary Clinton, okay? Yes, Hillary Clinton, and the two Canadians found out that Hillary Clinton, who has been being paid for by the big pharmaceutical companies, and actually has been authoring monstrous profiteering for the big pharmaceutical companies since 93, by the way. Yeah. 93. Yes, and she is a member of the Gambino family. Okay. Gee, how'd that happen? She was the first Bilderberger, female Bilderberger. Okay. She is not, you know, Rebecca from Sunnybrook Farms, folks. She's a psychopathic murderer. I can't put it any simpler, because if I put it any simpler, she's just got to keep murdering. She's murdering at once a week. Well, those folks in Canada found out that our pharmaceutical companies on mail order drugs were substituting crap medicine, and which absolutely doesn't work. And so what would happen was doctors would see this medicine wasn't working, so they would prescribe more medications. Okay, see? So the pharmaceutical company make sure you get crap, it doesn't work, so they can sell you more crap. Okay? Well, right. That's what they found out. And Hillary was responsible. Yes, and her name came up several times.
Well, on Aaron's Health News, they talk about that doctor being number 83 in the list of doctors that are disappearing or that are suicided, or that under suspicious circumstances.
Arkancided.
Yeah, so it's pretty bad, and there's no sign of letting up.
Now, you know what all this stuff about Hillary being ill, something happened, she has a brain injury. Forget it, folks. She doesn't have those problems, okay? She just doesn't have them, all right? Here's the deal. She knows this noose is getting tighter, and she wants to make sure that she isn't ever standing in the docket. And she's got to give that impression that, yes, she has a brain injury. Gee, if you don't know what's happening to you, you can't be ever held responsible.
Right.
Right, Hillary? Okay. That's what we have here, folks. She, what can I say? These people are survivors.
She can even be given drugs to put her to sleep and make it look like she died or something or other. This is what happens when you're dealing with liars. You never know what's going to come up next.
Psychopathic, lying, thieving, murderers, okay? Sociopathic in every sense of the word, okay? But that's what she is doing. She's laying a ground defense to show that supposedly she tripped and fell, got a rap on the bean, and she is not really responsible for what she's doing now, okay? Right. That's what she's doing, folks. So enough of this crap, okay? And by the way, as a little crowning jewel, okay, what we have here is, now why would she treat Haiti the way she did? Well, it turns out that her group of 5 rings, okay, the ominous 5 rings, well, they are busy right now taking up residence, okay, all of these people that are in the pedophilia business.
Yes.
Okay, like the Bushes, okay, the Franklin scandal, Mr. Right. James Comey, okay. Yeah, they're just moving and consolidating their pedophile business in Haiti. Okay, what a better place. Who's going to stop them? All right, desperately uh, uh, destroyed country like
Yeah.
that has never known any peace. I know I was there in the mid '70s, and the whole place was a insane asylum, and I was being run by somebody named Papa Doc Duvalier.
Yes.
All right. Now, anybody that knows anything about a history book can pick up and study Papa Doc Duvalier and the Tonton Macoute. Okay, and you think a fascist Western European country is bad. You ain't seen nothing till you've seen Haiti in the '70s.
Or just ask Cathy OBrien what happened to her, because Baby Doc Duvalier is one of the people that had forced sexual relations with her, including Elder George Bush, who raped her 13-year-old daughter. All you got to do is go online and look up Cathy OBrien and look up her story, MK Ultra. There you go.
Yes, yeah, I know that story too. Okay, so and everyone has heard me talk about Dick Cheney ad nauseum. Okay, it nauseates me to even talk about that miserable piece of shit. Okay, by the way, okay, the Washington madam, D.C. madam, okay, Jean Palfrey informed me herself what the code name was for Dick Cheney. I don't think I've ever mentioned this to you.
No.
But this will give you an idea who sits in these Washington offices, quote, calling the shots for America.
Right.
They refer to him as the shitter, okay? Now, I hope Dick heard that. I hope, and his wonderful, what was it, Japanese lesbian sadism book writing wife, Lynn, okay? I can't even keep this stuff straight anymore. Okay, these people are so nasty, so filthy, that putting them into an insane asylum would actually be a blessing. Okay.
But see, Greg, I don't think people are ready for this stuff, and that's exactly why they know they're getting away with it, because you hear that word cognitive dissonance again, because you can't go around saying this stuff to people on the street, because either you'll be looked at like you're crazy or you'll be arrested, because it's so far from normalized living that they know they can get away with it because nobody's going to believe it.
I agree with you,
but times are changing.
And that's why I'm talking to that's why I'm talking to our listeners. Okay, our listeners are brighter than the average Joe six-pack on the street.
We hope.
Okay, we hope. Hey, but they're listening to our show. That means they're not some sick, thick-fingered sod. Okay, that can't put a noun and a verb back to back. Okay. So that's what we have here. We have a better educated, curious, interested group of listeners. Okay.
Absolutely.
That's the saving grace today. And I want to say, now, if I didn't know that Christmas meant, Christ's massacre, I would wish everybody, okay, a happy Christmas. Okay. So yes, that's what I have. Okay. I have a little bit of history and a whole lot of what's happening now. And remember, nothing like the bottom dollar being threatened, and your bottom dollar in terms of IRA and 401k, all right, they're right in the hands of these vicious, carnivoristic politicians we have. Okay, I can't even think how to describe
there's
these.
No words. There's no words for it. No.
They've been lying to you. Oh yeah, don't worry. Your Social Security won't be there. You got to invest in these programs. These programs are good. We back them up. Right, absolutely. I hate being right all the time, Luca. I really do. Okay. I thought when I heard this program, I thought, oh, about the 401ks, how it's all wonderful, augment your retirement. Oh yeah, wait till these sleazy pimp politicians figure out a way with their ever-present army of, quote, pimp lawyers, okay, forget calling them attorneys, they're just called lawyers, mangling our constitutional laws any way they can, and the other politicians are helping them, okay? Yeah. So that's what we have here, folks. If you don't think I'm right, go ahead, stay in your Barco lounger, okay, and see in a few weeks, see if I'm right, all right? And then I want you to remember, though, what I told you.
Well, even better, why don't we encourage people, as we always do, to not believe us, like do your research like we have.
Absolutely.
And learn to trust your instinct. I got to tell you something that I was not going to say, but I'm going to say it now. Okay, Greg? Last show. No, it was right before the last show. When I first saw on social media that thing about the Atlanta airport, my instinct told me up, set up, cover up, make believe, probably CIA, something like that. And I almost gave myself shit for saying that because it was like, whoa, we can't go into theories and opinions and stuff. But look what happens. It's exactly what your instinct tells you. You're right 100% of the time. It's scary stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to learn to believe in ourselves and do what we can for others.
Absolutely. Okay. The reason why we're in the situation we are now is because most of America is comfortable. Okay. Oh, yeah, somebody ought to do something. What do you mean somebody ought to do something? We're all in this together, last time I checked. And by the way, because everybody sat there, they should be terrorizing their politicians right now. They haven't. All right. In a few weeks, these shows of alternate media, they're going away. All right. They're in trouble. They're going away. The neutral net rule of FCC communications, guess what? All these people that have been threatened, that are angry about what we have, okay, that they can't make a buck out of it, okay, well, they got together with our pimp politicians and very quietly. When you don't hear anything, doesn't mean you're safe. It means you're in big, big trouble, okay? The wolves are surrounding you and you don't know it, okay? So the neutral net rule for the internet, okay, that's going away, okay? You're going to start seeing more commercialized, politicized crap, just crap. Okay.
And they're going to be able to charge you more if they want, and they're going to have slow lanes and fast lanes. They can charge you for whatever they want now because they want to cover us up. They have to shut us up.
Absolutely. So remember that, folks. You heard it here, right here on the Liberty Beacon. And thanks to Luca here, yes, we know that. So if you don't like it when it hits the fan very shortly, and it will, don't think that you weren't informed of it. You are. Be aware, and you call your politicians. Don't send a letter. Forget this internet stuff. What a bunch of crap that is. Okay, you send them a letter, get it registered, and say, look, you pull this off. If we find out you're involved, you're finished. You're finished. All right. You're going to go right back in the unemployment line where they found you, the win line, all right? The work incentive line.
Okay, well, I'm going to have the last word because I can't help but say this again, that the only reason why the 99% are succeeding is because most people don't know about what's going on. But you know what? Not knowing is not an excuse anymore. Not knowing is making you directly guilty immediately because it's called the tacit agreement. They're succeeding because of our ignorance. Now there's no excuse for ignorance in the time of the internet. So that could change very quickly. But by not doing anything, we're complicit. So not only are we deserving of what's coming, but we're enabling it. This is why this show exists, and this is why it's so important to have people like Greg on the show. And it's not thanks to me and my show, Greg. You're making my show happen. So we're happening.
Well, all right. Hey, the important thing is it going to be successful? And I'm getting a very uncomfortable feeling, okay, of talking to people. They just, oh, yeah, well, it's this guy again going on about something he thinks he knows something about. Okay, I hate to be 100% right, but boy, you are not going to like the consequences of what is coming our way. As Shakespeare said, something wicked this way comes.
Yes. And you know what? The people that don't like us and the people that point the finger, my grandmother used to say, when you point the finger, you got 3 pointed towards you. So the people that point the finger and that say, well, you don't know what he's talking about, you just sit there and wave at them and smile and go, bye, just like they did on Noah's Ark. Noah just, bye, see you later. So that's what we're going to do until the next show. Thank you, Greg.
Hey, remember us at the Constitution here. We had something wonderful in this country, incredible in this country, and now it's fast diminishing to something we know what not, okay, is turning into. But it's not the Constitution that this country was founded on at all. And remember what George W. Bush said, he is not going to be held responsible. This was right after 9/11. He's not going to be held responsible by a goddamn piece of paper. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
That gives me chills to tell everybody that. By held responsible by a goddamn piece of paper, the son of a bitch should have gotten a boot right back into the unemployment line where he was before somebody pulled some strings and made him, quote, president. Mm-hmm. All right? There we go. And we've been dealing with and living with the consequences ever since. All right. Thank you, Luca, for having me on your show.
Thank you, Greg. We'll see you next time.
Hey, my pleasure. Let's do it again real soon.